And welcome to Celebrity Mastermind with me, John Humphreys. We're a nation fascinated by celebrities. Well, tonight, it's the celebrities' own interests that take centre stage. 4 famous faces, each representing a charity of their choice, will face 2 minutes of questions on their specialised subject and 2 minutes on general knowledge. At stake, this chunk of glass. But far more important than the trophy, the kudos, the honour of being a Mastermind winner. So let's get on with it and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Michael Winner.
Your chosen charity?
The Police Memorial Trust.
And your chosen subject?
British films in the 60s.
British films in the 1960s. 2 minutes starting now. Who plays Sharif Ali Ibn el-Karish in David Lean's 1962 film Lawrence of Arabia?
It's a good question. Omar Sharif.
Yes. Which Bond film starring Sean Connery features the iconic scene in which Ursula Andress as Honey Rider emerges out of the sea in a bikini?
Dr. No.
Yes. Who directed Michael Caine as Harry Palmer in the classic spy thriller The Ipcress File?
Oh, Sidney Fury.
Yes. In Richard Lester's 1964 film A Hard Day's Night, who plays Paul McCartney's grandfather, John?
Oh, he was not Harry H. Corbett's father. Yes. I can't remember his name. I must get a point for Harry H. Corbett's father.
Well, I'll tell you the rest of it. It's Wilfred Bramble. Which 1969 Ken Russell film stars Glenda Jackson and Jenny Linden as the sisters Gudrun and Ursula Brangwen?
Women in Love.
Yes. Who won the 1961 Best British Actress Award for the British Film Academy for her performance as Helen in A Taste of Honey?
Rita Tushingham.
Dora Bryan. In which film is the rebellious Arthur Seaton out for a good time, all the rest being propaganda?
Saturday Night and Sunday Morning.
Yes. Who provides the narration for Cy Enfield's film Zulu, which tells the story of the defence of Rorke's Drift in 1879?
No idea. Pass.
Which jazz composer wrote the original music for the 65 film Darling, set in the London fashion scene?
Johnny Dankworth.
Correct. Which Carry On film released in 68 stars Sid James as Sir Sidney Rough Diamond and Kenneth Williams as the Qazi of Calabar?
Pass.
What is the surname of Alfie, played by Michael Caine in Lewis Gilbert's 1966 exploration of Swingin' London?
Pass.
Who won a British Film Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as Mr. Farthing in the 69 Ken Loach film Kes?
He was a very famous writer, and I forget his name. He won an Academy Award as a writer.
He did. We'll take that as a pass. What does Thomas believe he has accidentally photographed in Michelangelo Antonioni's film Blow Up?
A murder on a green or something.
Yeah, a dead body. Absolutely. You had 4 passes. It was Colin Welland. The name you were trying to think of. The surname of Alfie is Elkins. Carry On Up the Khyber featured Sir Sidney Rough Diamond, etc. Richard Burton provided the narration for Zulu. Those 4 passes, Michael Winner, you have 7 points. And our second contender, please. And your name is?
Mishal Husain.
Your chosen charity?
The Burma Star Association.
And your chosen subject?
The Chronicles of Narnia.
Chronicles of Narnia, 2 minutes starting now. In the Chronicles of Narnia, what's the surname of Peter, Edmund, Susan and Lucy?
Pevensey.
Correct. What are the lords Argos, Rebellion and Mavramorn doing when they're found by Prince Caspian and his friends at Aslan's table in the Voyage of the Dawn Treader?
Sleeping.
Yes, in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, when Lucy finds herself in Narnia, who first addresses her as a daughter of Eve?
The Fawn Tumnus.
Yes. What colour are the rings created by Uncle Andrew and used by Polly and Diggory to reach the wood between the worlds in The Magician's Nephew?
Yellow.
Yes. Which great city of Kalamen do Aravis, Shasta and the horses have to travel through in The Horse and His Boy?
Tashbaan.
Yes. What quest does Aslan set Jill and Eustace at the beginning of The Silver Chair?
To release Prince Rillian from his enchantment.
To find the princess. Which item of clothing does Lucy remove in the cold water when she's suddenly pulled into the painting at the start of the Voyage of the Dawn Treader?
Pass.
What is the name of the sour black dwarf with hair and a beard as thick and hard as horsehair who wanted to kill Prince Caspian?
Knickerbrick.
Correct. In The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, what's the name of the housekeeper from whom the children are hiding when all four go through the wardrobe into Narnia?
Mrs. Macready.
Yes. When asked for news of Aslan, by what means does the centaur Runewit provide a gloomy prediction for King Tyrion in the last battle?
Pass.
What is the name of the marsh wiggle with greeny grey hair hanging over his ears who acts as a guide to Jill and Eustace in the silver chair?
Puddleglum?
Yes. Which words are people always expected to say immediately after the Tisroc is mentioned in The Horse and His Boy?
May he live forever.
Yes. In The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, Father Christmas gives Peter a shield and a sword. What gift does he give to Mrs. Beaver?
Pass, can't remember.
In The Magician's Nephew, what's the name of the character who calls Jadis a shameless hussy and threatens to call the police? Jadis tries but fails to turn her to dust.
It's a great moment in the book. Aunt Letty?
Yes. What's the name of the only member of the crew not afraid of the Dark Island in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader?
Reaper Cheap.
Yes. Where does the Great Council take place at which Dr. Cornelius arrives puffing and blowing to inform Caspian that he's been betrayed?
Oh, it's in a wood of some kind.
No, we're going to pass on that one?
Pass.
I'll tell you. It is the Dancing Lawn. The other passes, Mrs. Beaver got a new and rather better sewing machine. He provided a gloomy prediction by reading the stars, and Lucy took off her shoes in the cold water. 4 passes. Mishal, you have 12 points. And our third contender, please. And your name is?
Dom Jolly,
Your chosen charity?
Friends of Paternoster School.
And your chosen subject?
The presidency of Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. 2 minutes starting now. In which year was Carter inaugurated as America's 39th president?
77.
Yes, he was the first president to come from which American state?
Georgia.
Yes, at which venue did Carter preside over the talks between Anwar el-Sadat and Menachem Begin in 1978 that culminated in a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel?
Camp David.
Yes, to what post did Carter appoint Zbigniew Brzezinski?
National Security Advisor.
Yes, what action taken by Carter immediately after he took office was described by Barry Goldwater as the most disgraceful thing a president's ever done?
Was it pardoning Vietnam draft dodgers?
It was indeed. With which country did he establish full diplomatic relations in January 79?
China.
Yes. What was the name of Carter's wife, sometimes called the second most powerful person in the United States?
Rosalind.
Yes. With which leftist group did Carter initially try to work after they overthrew President Somoza of Nicaragua in 79?
Sandinistas.
Yes. During their televised presidential debate in 1980, Reagan brushed aside Carter's criticism of his stance on Medicare with what immensely damaging phrase?
There you go again.
Yes, in the summer of 1979, it was reported in the press that during a fishing trip, Carter's boat had been attacked by what type of animal?
Pass.
The financial links of Carter's brother Billy with which country resulted in the so-called Billygate affair in 1980?
Libya.
Yes, in 77, Carter appointed Andrew Young as the first African-American to hold which post?
Ambassador to the United Nations.
Correct. In April 78, the Senate narrowly approved the treaty to transfer which strategic waterway to local control, 31st of December 1999?
Panama Canal.
Correct. The Full Employment Act, signed into law by Carter in October 78, is generally known by what name after its 2 sponsors?
Pass.
In April 78, Carter decided not to go ahead with the development of which enhanced radiation thermonuclear weapon?
The neutron bomb.
Yes. What was the name of the corporation created by Carter's 1980 Energy Security Act to develop alternative energy sources?
Pass.
How many electoral college votes did Carter receive when he beat his Republican rival Gerald Ford for the presidency?
269.
No, it was 297. You had 3 passes. The Synthetic Fuels Corporation was the name of that corporation that he created. The Humphrey-Hawkins Act was the Full Employment Act. And it was claimed that his boat had been attacked by a rabbit. Those 3 passes, Dom Jolly, you have 13 points.
Thank you.
And our 4th contender, please. And your name is?
John Bird.
Your chosen charity?
The Blue Cross Animal Welfare.
And your specialist subject?
The life and works of, what was his name?
I'll take that as a pass.
Igor Stravinsky.
Igor Stravinsky. 2 minutes starting now. In which seaside village west of St. Petersburg was Stravinsky born in 1882?
Oranienbaum.
Correct. For whose jazz orchestra did Stravinsky write the Ebony Concerto in 1945?
Benny Goodman.
Woody Herman. Which composer had a holiday home near Heidelberg where the young Stravinsky played some of his early pieces in 1902?
Rimsky-Korsakov?
Yes, who conducted the first performance of The Rite of Spring? Stravinsky later dedicated the greeting prelude to him.
Pierre Monteux.
Correct. Which animal featured in the Balanchine choreographed piece Circus Polka when it was first performed at Madison Square Garden in April 1942?
Elephant.
Yes, which of his works did Stravinsky describe as being his discovery of the past, the epiphany through which the whole of my late work became possible?
Pulcinella?
Correct. What was the occupation of his father, Fyodor?
He was an operatic bass.
Yes. To which painter did Stravinsky dedicate his string quartet Double Cannon, despite the fact that he'd never met him?
Raoul Dufy.
Yes. What name is given to his concerto in E-flat, commissioned by Mr. and Mrs. Robert Woods Bliss and first performed at their estate in 1938?
Dumbarton Oaks.
Yes. With which composer did Stravinsky collaborate in 1913 on a version of Mussorgsky's unfinished opera Kovanshina?
Ravel.
Yes, in 1966, Stravinsky's last original composition was a setting of which poem for soprano and piano?
The Owl and the Pussycat.
Yes, which work did he begin writing in January 65 following the death of T.S. Eliot?
The Introitus.
Yes, which dancer performed the title role of Petrushka at the ballet's premiere in 1911?
Nijinsky.
Yes, what illness did Stravinsky contract a few days after the premiere of The Rite of Spring?
Intercostal neuralgia.
It was typhoid. With which author, whom he first met in Boston in May '53, did Stravinsky hope to collaborate on a new opera? The author died in November of that year, so the project never happened.
Dylan Thomas.
Yes, which work was commissioned by the singer-sewing machine heiress Princess Edmond de Polignac in 1915?
Renard.
Yes, at which university did he accept the Charles Eliot Norton Professorship for the academic year 39 to 40?
Harvard.
Harvard is correct. No passes, John. You have 15 points. So that's the end of the first round. Let's have a look at the scores. In fourth place, 7 points, Michael Winner. Third place, 12 points, Mishal Husain. Second place, 13 points, Dom Jolly. In the lead, 15 points, John Bird. So it's the general knowledge round now, and if there's a tie at the end of this round, then the number of passes gets taken into account, and the person with the fewest passes is the winner. Let's get on with it and ask Michael Winner to join us again, if he would, please. And I've been going through a little list of some of the stars that you've worked with over the years. Sophia Loren, Charles Bronson, Marlon Brando. If there's a power struggle between the star and the director, who wins?
The star. The star
Really?
always
I
wins,
expected
believe
you to
me.
say the opposite.
Well, because they can fire the director, they can't fire the star. They've got no picture left at all. I always remember when Walter Mirisch, the famous Hollywood producer, met Billy Wilder, the famous director. He said, I'm going to the Great Escape set because Steve McQueen's impossible, and I'm going to tell him, Steve, you've got to follow the rules, you've got to work for us, you're under contract, you have to do all these things or else. And Billy Wilder said, I know exactly how you're going to say it. Stevie, darling, what do you want? You want anything you want, you can have. It's all right. You want to get rid of the director, we'll get rid of him. You know, no question.
And that's true, is it? That's really the way it is. Right. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. Michael, you have 7 points so far. Here we go with 2 minutes of general knowledge. Which British naval hero was killed at the Battle of Trafalgar in October 1805?
Nelson.
Yes, who was the first monarch to use Buckingham Palace as an official residence?
Edward the
No,
First.
Queen Victoria. In 2002, which television gardener published his first volume of memoirs entitled Trowel and Error?
Can I phone a friend?
Not on this programme. We'll make that a pass. Which sport has a group of English international travelling supporters known as the Barmy Army?
Can I ask my fiancée?
Can't do that either, I'm afraid. Take a guess. Which sport?
Football.
Cricket. You were close. Who shocked his fans when he sang Maggie's Farm at the 1965 Newport Folk Festival playing an electric guitar?
Bob Dylan.
Yes, David Brent, played by Ricky Gervais, was the lead character in which television series?
The Office.
Yes, what is the name of the ancient overland trade route that linked China with the West?
The, not the perfume route, it was something like that.
It was the Silk Route.
Yes.
The Soviet decision to station nuclear missiles on an island brought the world to the brink of a Third World War in October 1962. What was the island?
Cuba.
Yes, which crime fiction writer learned about poisons while working as a hospital dispenser during the First World War?
Nigella Lawson.
She'll sue Agatha Christie. In Greek mythology, what's the collective name of the 9 goddesses who presided over the arts?
The sirens.
The muses. In broadcasting, which phrase is commonly used for a continuing drama? It refers to the products produced by the early sponsors of such shows.
Soap opera.
Yes, what name is given to a number that is only divisible by itself and by the number 1?
Can I phone anybody?
No, not with this number, you can't know. I'll take that as another pass. Which celebrated Second World War fighter aircraft made its last operational sortie with the RAF in a photo reconnaissance flight over Malaya on the 1st of April 1954?
The Spitfire.
Yes, in the theatre. What name is given to the space above the front part of the stage from where the curtains and the scenery are controlled?
I don't do theatre.
The answer is the flies. The other pass is that number that is only divisible by itself, and number 1 is the prime number, and Trowel and Error was written by Alan Titchmarsh. 3 passes, Michael, you have 13 points. And now Mishal Husain, please. And you are a news reader, presenter, anchor, whichever you prefer. What's the thing about newsreading? Why does everybody want to be a newsreader?
I don't think everyone wants to be a newsreader, but I do get a bit depressed when I see people just say to me, oh, I really want to be on television, because I actually never imagined that I'd end up in front of the camera. I was
Didn't you?
No,
Really?
I was a producer.
Don't we all say that at some point?
but
No, I didn't want to be on
hand on
telly.
my heart, honestly, I was a producer, and literally one day one of my editors said, oh, I need someone to do the 4 a.m. shift, you know, next week. I don't suppose you'd be interested. So, you know, that was how it began. So, yeah, I wanted to be a BBC journalist.
But no.
It's nice that it worked out. You get to do lots of nerve-wracking things like this. But it's good to be part of the stories that people are talking about at the time.
Right, well, now you've got 12 points, which is a good score. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. Here we go, starting now. Burmese, Siamese and Persian are breeds of which animal?
Cat.
Yes, Johnny Depp claims to have based Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean films on which member of the Rolling Stones?
Sorry, I don't know.
Who reputedly said, "Qu'ils mangeront de la brioche," generally translated as "let them eat cake," when told the French people had no bread?
Marie Antoinette.
Yes, the Potala Palace in Lhasa is the former home of which religious leader?
Dalai Lama?
Yes, which drink takes its name from the town of Jerez de la Frontera in southern Spain?
Sherry?
Yes, what term used at the end of a list to indicate that further similar items are included literally means "and the rest" in Latin?
Etc.
Yes, during the 1980s, which Baptist minister and politician became the first black person to make a serious bid for the American presidency?
Jesse Jackson?
Yes, in 2005, the Glazer family acquired the controlling interest in which Premier League football club?
Manchester United?
Correct, whose theorem states that the square of the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides?
Pythagoras.
Yes, what was the name of Pussycat Doll's first UK #1 hit?
Ooh, wouldn't have a clue.
The colour of which gemstone varies from deep cochineal to pale rose red, but is most valued when it's pigeon blood red?
Ruby?
Yes, in Greek mythology, who helped Jason to steal the golden fleece from her father, the king of Colchis?
I should be able to even guess this, but I can't think of anyone from Greek
All right, we'll
mythology
take this as
right
a
now.
pass. Lockjaw is the old name for which disease?
Tetanus.
Yes, what name is given to the Egyptian obelisk erected on the Victoria embankment of the Thames in 1878?
Cleopatra's Needle.
Yes, whose 1985 novel Riders is the first of her Rutshire Chronicles?
J. Rider Haggard.
No, Jilly Cooper. In America, what name from the French for raised is used for a natural or artificial riverside embankment?
No idea.
In 2009, which curly-haired actor and comedian published the memoirs in a book called My Favourite People and Me?
Dudley Moore?
Alan Davis. You had 4 passes. Levy is what they call the raised embankment. That
yeah.
you'll know. Medea was the Greek mythological figure that we were looking for. The name of Pussycat Doll's first hit was Doncha. And Johnny Depp based Jack Sparrow apparently on Keith Richards. 4 passes. Mishal, you have 23 points. And now Dom Jolly, please. And I suppose you'll always be remembered, in part at any rate, for trigger-happy TV.
Yeah. One of the funny things about Trigger Happy was how English it was, actually, but we didn't realise how English it was. I mean, obviously, one of the first things you do if you get given a bit of money by a TV company is you think, right, how can we blag some holidays? So we went to New York to try and do it, and actually, the moment when I did the big mobile in New York, pulled it out and shouted, "Hello, I'm in New York." And about 4 people turn around and go, "Shut up, buddy!" and no one ever does that here, and it's the sort of embarrassment. We hate sort of being brought out or embarrassed. And so basically the British will just sort of avoid anything as long as they're not directly confronted. Whereas America, I mean, they can be armed. Because they really are trigger-happy, basically.
Quite. Right, well, you've been doing all right in this quiz so far. You've got 13 points, so let's see how you do with your general knowledge. 2 minutes, starting now. How were Rick, Neil, Vivian and Mike collectively known in the title of a 1980s television comedy series?
Young ones.
Yes, in which region of Romania is Count Dracula supposed to have had his castle?
Transylvania.
Yes, the feud between the Montagues and the Capulets formed the context of which Shakespearean play?
Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, whose vast collection of shoes was left at the Malacanang Palace in Manila when she went into exile with her husband in 1986?
Imelda Marcos.
Yes, which 2009 science fiction film takes its name from the ghetto in South Africa where a population of aliens is forced to live?
District 9.
Yes, in angling, Americans know it as a bobber. What's it called in Britain?
Float.
Yeah. Which chemical element with the symbol AS was popular with Victorian poisoners?
Arsenic.
Yes. Which city was the Titanic's destination on her fatal maiden voyage?
New York.
Yes. Whose Sticky and Sweet tour that began in Cardiff in August 2008 finished with 2 concerts in Tel Aviv in September 2009?
No idea.
The name of which letter of the Greek alphabet means Big O?
Omega.
Yeah. Which raid on Germany in May 1943, led by Wing Commander Guy Gibson, was officially codenamed Operation Chastise?
The Dam Busters.
Yes. By what name are the American Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Awards better known?
Oscars.
Emmys. Which wool-coated rabbit, also known as the turkey rabbit, takes its name from its long, silky coat?
Pass.
The French term for which vegetable translates into English as earth apple?
Pomme de terre.
Yeah, potato. Who plays Detective Superintendent Peter Boyd, the head of the cold case unit in the television series Waking the Dead?
Pass.
Which political leader's thoughts were contained in a publication known as the Little Red Book?
Mao.
Yes. Which Cat Stevens hit contains the lyrics, "Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven like the first dew fall on the first grass"?
Morning is broken.
Yes. What name's given to the region of reclaimed marshland in eastern England extending from Lincolnshire to Cambridgeshire?
The Fens.
Yes. Sean is the Irish equivalent of which English boy's name?
John.
Yes. Whose first album, Lungs, was nominated for the Barclaycard Mercury Prize in July 2009?
Florence and the Machine.
Florence and the Machine is correct. You had 3 passes. Trevor Eve plays Peter Boyd. Angora is the rabbit. And Madonna was the Sticky and Sweet tour. You have, Dom Jolly, 29 points. And now, finally, John Bird, please. And most famous, obviously, for that wonderful satire that you've been doing for a very long time, especially with John Fortune. Is satire dead?
Yes.
That's what everybody says.
What is best when we do it, I think, is not to invent anything. We'd spotted in the paper that Bear Stearns, which is the 5th largest American bank, had 2 hedge funds, one of which was called the High Grade Structured Credit Enhanced Leverage Fund. And it should have been called, if you've got $3.5 billion you're not really bothered about losing, give it to us, fund. All we did was what happened.
Right, now you've got 15 points. The score to beat is 29. See if you can do that with your general knowledge. 2 minutes starting now. The name of which class of cold-blooded animals includes snakes, lizards and crocodiles comes from the Latin for crawled?
The reptile.
Yes, what's the name of the fictional sports commentator played by Steve Coogan who was giving his own chat show, Knowing Me, Knowing You?
Alan Partridge.
Yes, which city, the capital of South Korea, hosted the 1988 Olympics?
Seoul.
Yes, in August 65, the French film actress Catherine Deneuve married which famous photographer?
Don't know.
What name was given to the very narrow trousers worn by teddy boys that have come back into fashion at intervals
Drainpipes.
ever since? Drainpipes, yes. According to Shakespeare's play, which king's last words were, a horse, my kingdom for a horse"?
Richard III.
Yes, which seafood is called pulpo on a Spanish menu?
Octopus.
Yes, what was the nationality by birth of Barack Obama's father?
Kenyan.
Yes, which record company, also known as Hitsville, was founded by Berry Gordy Jr. in 1959?
Motown.
Yes, whose career took off when she played the lead in 2 Hitchcock films of the early 1940s, Rebecca and Suspicion?
Don't know.
Alistair Darling was appointed to which cabinet post when Gordon Brown became Prime Minister in June 2007?
Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yes, in which month of 1939 did Britain declare war on Germany?
August.
September. Which document whose Latin name means Great Charter did King John reluctantly seal in 1215?
Magna Carta.
Yes, the wheel known as the Ashoka Chakra is in the centre of the flag of which Asian country?
Nepal.
India. Which so-called rival of Mozart accepted the young Franz Schubert as a pupil around 1812?
Salieri.
Yes, who accompanied Dr. Johnson on his journey to the Western Isles of Scotland, spending 101 days with him?
James Boswell.
Yes, which veteran Radio 2 broadcaster had to retire from his lunchtime show in 2002, being replaced by Jeremy Vine?
Terry Wogan.
Jimmy Young, the name of which 19th century artist was given to a black and white variety of Newfoundland dog after it featured in his paintings?
Don't know.
How is Robert I, who was King of Scotland from 1306 to 1329, better known?
Robert the Bruce.
Correct. Which expression, I started so I'll finish, widely used in sports reporting, completes the line, the opera ain't over?
Till the fat lady sings.
You've got it. You have 3 passes. Landseer was the name of that artist. Joan Fontaine played the lead in 2 Hitchcock films. And Catherine Deneuve married David Bailey. You have, John Bird, 29 points. Well, 29 apiece. Let's have a look at all of the scores. In 4th place, 13 points, Michael Winner. 3rd place, 23 points, Mishal Husain. 2nd place with 29 points and 6 passes, Dom Jolly. 1st place, therefore, with 29 points and only 3 passes, John Bird. Congratulations, John.
Thank you very much. I was very thrilled about the questions I got, because although it was a surprise, I was expecting you to sing something from Stravinsky, and I'd see if I recognise it.
Terribly sorry. Next time around.
Looking forward to that.
I promise you. Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You do not have to be a celebrity to take part in Mastermind. If you'd like to do so, our usual Mastermind programme, go to our website, bbc.co.uk/Mastermind, and make an application. I hope you've enjoyed Celebrity Mastermind tonight. Good night.